Ja, ik kan op die invite.
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. So what's going to happen is that on the hour we go
David?
live. Have
It's
you
live.
got any presentations you would like to do?
Ons het net twee video's, net Althea en Jason. Ja.
Yes, you do.
Maar jij
You
doet
get
nog.
access to your
Ja.
screen. 1 minute. I'm just gonna-
Waar is die?
There you go. You should be able to share your screen
Hey
now.
David,
Hey there.
how are you?
I am good. How are you doing today?
Very, very well, thank you.
Good.
Are you gonna-
Thank you again so much for being part of our family reunion. This is so exciting.
You are so welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So
All
far,
right.
we have more than 1,000 participants, so it's really exciting.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
How many licensed or how many agents are there in South Africa?
In Keller Williams, we're 1,200, and then across the industry, we don't exactly know. We aren't as well regulated, or our statistics aren't as well regulated. But I guess we're
Right.
probably anything from
Next week as well.
40,000 agents.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, yeah. So I've changed the settings so that you can share your screen. I don't know if you need to share your screen.
Okay. Yep, I do. That would be great.
Okay. So you should be able to share your screen.
Got
And
it.
45 minutes, and after 45
Right.
minutes, it's gonna close down.
Go ahead and test that. Get it set up here.
But yeah, as soon as you're ready, you can just, everything that goes live. What I will do is I will let you know as soon as we online, I will tell you after we live stream.
Just close this.
Yeah, yeah, it seems okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad, no, definitely.
Share. Okay, good.
Imagine, it's a new.
All right, you can see that okay?
Live streaming and talking.
Yes, hold on.
Okay.
Let's see. Yep, is that okay?
All right, perfect.
Fantastic. So this is live stream to our platform that we're using. Obviously, you got login details. So it
Right.
automatically starts streaming on the dot. For us, it's 4 o'clock. So on the hour.
Okay.
So when we're ready to go live, about a minute before the time, I'm going to hit the record button and just mute myself and put my own video off. So I won't be in your screen at all.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and then if they are, so there is a live chat box available on the platform. So I'll keep an eye on it. And if there are any questions, I'll just post them here in Zoom. Then you can
Okay.
decide if it's something that you'd like to answer, or if it's not on topic, you can just ignore it.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll leave my chat window open over on the side then. So I've got that ready to go for us.
Yeah. And other than that, yeah, then it starts streaming on the hour and it's being recorded. So it's really exciting.
Okay, awesome.
So, there we go. Yeah, all ready to go. 5 minutes and 42 seconds, it says.
All right.
So what time is it over there for you?
It is 8 o'clock in the morning. So
Okay, that's
4
not
o'clock,
bad.
4 o'clock PM for you all?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I have another session tomorrow at the exact same time. So I'm at 4 p.m. your time tomorrow as well.
Okay, well, 8 o'clock's not too early. Shame, I've had some people that are already at 6 and I feel bad. That is quite early.
No, 8 o'clock's not bad at all. It worked out perfectly, actually.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You bet, absolutely.
We know that there's just so much value coming, so it's hard not to lean on our American family.
Right, right. Well, it is exciting to be able to share. I mean, that's the most important part for sure.
Yeah, well, this is also, I think, the second year that we've also got local panels and local speakers, because obviously it took a while to build a repertoire of people that are doing the right kind of production to put on panels. And I was
Right.
just on one and there was so much value. It was really cool. It was almost like
That's
listening to
awesome.
American panel. Yeah, so this is,
I love that.
we're really growing in the right direction. So that's very fun.
You know, one quick question is, I'm gearing the presentation towards individual agents. Do you have a lot of teams there?
We don't. We've started with teams. So I think this is the second year that we've included teams in our awards, but majority of our agents are still individual agents. We have a
That's what I was
handful of
thinking.
teams. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. That was my plan. My plan was to really talk to the individual agents. So
Yeah, no, they are definitely our bulk. And I mean, we have people that are trying teams, failing, going back to just rather doing it themselves. And I guess that's a natural progression.
right.
And then you'll get the people that are really adamant of building that team and that business, and we'll hopefully help them through that too.
Gotcha. That sounds good. And do you guys do you all have a Keller Williams email? Do you have a kw.com email? Does everybody get?
Yeah, we have a kwsa.co.za email, but I've got a whole list. Everyone's
And
got one.
is it run through Google? Yes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. I wanted to make sure I knew about that. And do you guys teach on the MREA book, on Gary's Red Book?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I wish they would teach more on it, and I wish my team leaders knew it better, but absolutely, that's where we go.
Right, right. Well, you'll get a little bit of that from me this morning, so maybe hopefully they'll be able to learn a little bit more about it, and actually, and tomorrow morning as well, or from my time. So this afternoon for you, and tomorrow afternoon, hopefully we'll get them a good preview of the MREA book.
That's fantastic. I think Jeannie Osmus, I think it's her name, is also doing a little bit of MREA, and somebody else. That was quite one of my focuses, to really get them to realize that this book is not just a pretty face.
That's
got
right.
some
That's
valuable.
right.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, this is so exciting. All right, we're about 2 minutes to go.
Okay.
At about a minute, I'm gonna just keep quiet because the stream does start.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna start recording and hide myself, and I'll mute myself.
Okay, that sounds good.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
bet.
Unfortunately, we're not even going to see you this year. Hopefully for Mega Camp, but I mean, we've already registered for online family reunion for the US too. So.
Right, right. Oh, one last thing. I sent a link to be posted.
Oh, yes.
Make sure and put that, if you want to put that in the chat on your end, just make sure it's available to everyone. They might want to download it as the first thing that we do, just so they can make a copy for themselves.
Okay, super. I'm going to post it in the chat as soon as you start, and then I'm going to give it about 5 minutes and post it again.
Perfect. That would be great.
Okay, I'm going to I'll mute and hide myself, and I'll see you in a bit.
All right, that sounds good. David. Thank you so much. And 45 minutes, right?
45 minutes.
Got it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right, thank you. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to give just a second to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get on, so we can get started. My name is David Kunderman. I am an operating principal and mega real estate agent in Kansas City, Missouri, here in the U.S., home of the world champion Kansas City Chiefs, and hope to be back-to-back champion Kansas City Chiefs. And I have been selling real estate for 31 years, so I have been at it for quite a while. Yes, I started when I was 12. No, not quite. I started when I was 24, however, so you guys can tell how old I am if you do the math. I am really excited to be here to present to you guys today because I'm getting to present on my absolute favorite topic, and that is how to have a 300% chance of hitting your goal. And we are going to use Gary Keller's MREA book, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which you'll hear people call the Red Book all the time. We're going to use the models and systems in the Red Book to help you guys identify how you can hit your goal with ease. So that's going to be part of our discussion today. So I've created a Google Sheet. You're going to see it in the chat. I've created a Google Sheet that you'll be able to click on the link and go in and make a copy of, because you're going to see me today. I'm going to go through and explain to you how I have over 1,000 agents over the last 15 years that have used a version of this Google Sheet, this spreadsheet, in order to create their business plan and create their tools and the systems and models that they need in order to hit their goals. So you'll be able to click on that link and create the Google Sheet. You can do it now if you want to and follow along, or just watch the presentation today, and then you'll be able to go back and you'll be able to create one for yourselves. I also have my contact information is in the platform, so please reach out to me. And after today's presentation, if you want to ask me questions, I would love to help. As I said, this is my favorite topic in the world to present on, and so I'm excited to be able to help as many of you as possible. Okay, so before we get started, I just want to say thank you guys again for having me, and let's get going. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is let me share my screen, and we're going to get right into it. So when you open up that Google link, you are going to go to a Google Sheet or a spreadsheet that basically what I did was I took Gary's Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the Red Book, and I condensed it into a Google Sheet that if you follow through my tabs, you'll be able to create your MREA goals. And the great thing about the sheet is whether your goal is to sell 5 houses a year or 500 houses a year, you'll be able to use this sheet to create your goals. And then here in just a little bit, we're going to show you how to make sure that you have a 300% chance of hitting them. So the first thing that I would tell you is it's really important. You want to start with the end in mind. When I talk to people about creating goals, it's one thing to create a goal. It's one thing to create a goal that you would use and follow, and creating a one-year goal is important. But in the long run, how you're really going to get ahead is, Gary talks about in the MREA book, we need to create big goals that will help to pull us through the smaller goals. So where I like to start with my agents is I like to start with the end in mind. Let's start with where you want to go in your business. Now, many of you guys may know Gary has created, Gary and Keller Williams has created a thing called the Keller Personality Assessment, or the KPA. And the KPA system is all about hiring agents. And we're going to steal a little piece out of that KPA system that we're going to use today. And it's called the 4 quadrants exercise. here's kind of how it works. I've given you an example on my screen. So how that system works is I'm going to look at the 4 quadrants of an agent's life, and I'm going to choose 2 of them. I'm going to choose job and money. You'll see here in A4 and B4, I've selected job and money. And then outside of job and money, I'm going to ask them what their other priorities are in life. It could be family, travel, philanthropy, spirituality, personal health, whatever it is that are your other 2 quadrants, the 2 most important parts of your life. I'll have people list those down here. So for my example for today, I've listed family as 1 and travel as 1. So those are the 4 priorities. Once the 4 priorities are set, I will ask the agents, if it's 5 years from now and we're here together on this Zoom and I'm interviewing you and I'm asking you, how is the job portion of your life going? How is your real estate career going? And you tell me it's awesome. It has gone awesome. Then what I want to know is, what does that look like? What would awesome look like 5 years from now? So you can see in my example, this particular agent said they wanted to have a team of 5 agents with 3 administrative assistants. They wanted to have an operations manager, a transaction coordinator, and a marketing specialist. They wanted to have a lead buyer's agent who runs their buyer division, 2 more buyer's agents and 2 showing specialists. They want to be selling 200 houses a year with 700 million in volume, a database of 2,000, an intense client care program, or what Gary calls a 36 touch program, with 4 client events. They work 30 hours a week, and everyone on their team makes at least $100,000 a year. So that's their job requirement. So when you get a chance after today's presentation, I encourage you, go in and list, what would your business look like? What would your career, your job look like 5 years from now? Then go over to the money section. So over in money, that would be the next part. So on money, we're going to go through and we're going to say, if things are going awesome 5 years from now, you've hit all your goals and things are going just amazingly well, what will your business look like? What will money look like 5 years from now? And you can see this, our example agent has gone through and they want to have $1 million in savings in the bank. They want to have $2 million worth of real estate, 8 investment properties. They're going to own their own investment company. They're going to give away 10% of everything they earn to their charitable foundation, have $100,000 in a travel budget, $2 million in other investments. They save 50% of every dollar they earn and invest it. And they're making over $1 million a year from their real estate team. So that's job and money. Then you'll go down to the next 2 priorities, whatever those are for you. And you can see here, I've done an example of a family priority and travel priority. So family, it's what has happened to your family? What does that look like? What are they doing? What are the members of your family? What do you want to accomplish? How much time are you spending with them? Are you doing things together? Are you going to visit them? Are you supporting them financially? You know, what would be important about family? And then the 4th priority is travel. 5 years from now, it's going awesome. What does travel look like? What are the trips that you're taking or have taken? Where are you going? How often are you traveling annually? What places are you visiting? And you can see I've gone through and listed all of those. Once you have your 4 quadrants done and you got your vision for what you want your business to look like in 5 years, then you'll go down and you'll answer a couple of questions. The first question is, what is important to you about these 5-year goals that you've set? Why is it important that you want to do all of those things? So if I was coaching this person, I would say, why is it important to you that you want to build this team and you want to save that money and you want to have this happen with your family and you want to have this happen with travel? Why is that important to you? So I gave you an example answer, and the answer was, this person wants to live their life and be able to spend time with family and give back. And they want to make sure and take advantage of every opportunity to live life to the fullest, which is awesome. I love that. Then we're going to ask one more clarifying question of ourselves. And that next clarifying question is, why is that goal important to you? what is it about those 5-year goals that are important to you? And an answer might be, this one is the example I gave you, is to be an incredible role model for my kids and family, because my parents were such great role models for me. And I want to help as many people as I have who maybe didn't have those great role models themselves. So what we've just done in just a few minutes in this exercise is we've gone through and you basically have determined what your big why is, or what's driving you forward over the next 5 years to hit those goals. So the last question from the first tab of our Google Sheet here is, based on those 5-year goals, what is the primary thing that you need to do for next year? So for 2021, what's the most important thing you need to do that's going to drive you forward to your 5-year goals? I would encourage you to pick one thing for each of your 4 quadrants and make that a part of your 2021 goals. So what is the one thing I'm going to do for my job? What's the one thing I'm going to do for money? What's the one thing I'm going to do for family? And what's the one thing I'm going to do for travel, which is the 4 priorities. And then I'm going to list a goal for each of those sections. And that's going to be part of my goal setting exercise as I go through the Google Sheet. So you can see here, this agent is just getting started. They've given you their big 5-year goals of where they want to go. So everything in their life is awesome 5 years from now. And based on those goals, they want to get their business to 6 million and have $100,000 in net income after taxes and hire their first assistant. They're going to stick to a weekly time block calendar, which we're going to talk more about later. And they're going to spend in that calendar, they're going to block their family time and their travel time in their calendar. So they're basically going to set themselves up for success in each of the 4 quadrants of their life that are the most important for 2021. So let's talk about how we can make that happen. So $6 million on $100,000 after taxes. So the place we're going to start is in the economic model. I'm going to do a brief overview today of the economic model and the budget model, but I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on it. However, I want you to know tomorrow at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be doing another session similar to today's. And in that session, I'm going to do a deep dive into the economic model and the budget model. And if time allows, we'll even get into the lead generation model. I truly believe those 3 models are the core fundamental principles that you need to build an incredibly successful real estate business. I will tell you all that when I came to Keller Williams 15 years ago, I enacted these 3 models, these next 3 models, as well as the 4th one that I'm going to show you today here in just a minute. And I quadrupled my business, my real estate sales business, in basically 2 years. I was producing about $5 million a year. I was working for RE/MAX and kind of stuck at that level. Came to Keller Williams, enacted these models, and I was selling $20 million a year within 2 years and doing it consistently because of what I'm going to teach you today. So let's start with the economic model. So just real briefly, you can see I've already got it done for you. When you're using this for yourself, you're going to go in and you're going to answer the questions of the items that are here in red. And so just real briefly, you can see my example agent has set a goal to net $100,000 after taxes, which is one step forward towards his 5-year goals in the future that he's going to achieve from our big Y quadrant, our big Y tab. They're going to pay $21,000 in company dollar and royalty. It just so happens in our market center, in my market center, we have an $18,000 cap and $3,000 in royalty. They're going to pay $42,000 in taxes, which is determined by their tax rate. And then a newer or a single agent in our area spends on average somewhere around $1,300 a month on their real estate business. So they're going to have $180,000 in gross commission income, $16,000 expenses, $21,000 in cap and royalty, $42,000 in taxes to net $100,000. So let's break that down. So the next part we do out of the economic model in Gary's MREA book is we break the business into how many sellers versus buyers will we work with. This particular agent wants it to be 50-50. 50% of their business is going to come from sellers, 50% is going to come from buyers. So this spreadsheet breaks that down, that $180,000 into 90,000 from sellers and 90,000 from buyers. Next, we determine what is the average commission. In Kansas City, in our area, the average commission is typically 3% on the listing side and 3% on the selling side. So basically a 6% total commission. So you can see my example agent has put 3% for sellers and 3% for buyers. At 3%, that means they'll need to produce $6 million in sales, $3 million from sellers and $3 million from buyers. So far we've got $6 million in sales at 3%, generates $180,000. After their expenses, their cap and royalty, and their taxes, they've got $100,000 in net income. Okay, next, the next part of our economic model is, what is our average sales price going to be? You can see you're going to list that for buyers and sellers, and that will tell you how many transactions you need to sell. So this example agent needs to sell 24 transactions in order to hit their goal for 2021. The next line basically goes over what percentage of the time that they take a listing do they get a closing? Do they make a sale and get a closing? And you can see here that they are getting a closing 75% of the time. So they need 16 listings taken from sellers and 16 what we call in our area buyer agency contracts, 16 buyers that have agreed to work with them in order to make 12 sales or have 12 closings. So altogether, we need 32 appointments. Or excuse me, we need 32 listings to make 24 closings. Then my example agent has gone through and picked what percentage of the time they go on an appointment do they get the listing. And for sellers and buyers, they've entered in 75%, which means they need 21 seller listing appointments in order to take 16 listings in order to have 12 closings. Now, if you know the numbers in your area, I would highly recommend work with your team leader to come up with what your percentages should be. In some of our markets in Kansas City, especially with seller listings, our inventory is so low that they may be selling 90% of their listings. And if they're selling 90% of their listings, then they may need to take less listings, and you'll watch the system. It's kind of working slowly here this morning because I'm on Zoom, but you'll watch the system. Will go through and it will adjust your numbers on how many sellers or buyers that you'll need to work with. The idea behind the economic model, and the most important part of the economic model, is it tells you how many appointments you need. And then I've given you a line, a cell that you can go in and put how many weeks you're going to work for the year. So my example agent's going to work 48 weeks for the year. So they need 43 appointments with buyers and sellers, basically 21 approximately with each. And they are going to go on about 3 appointments a month, 3.6, which is 1 appointment a week based on the 48 weeks. So this is always really exciting to me. I kind of stop here and pause for just a second. In going on 1 new client appointment a week, an agent can generate $180,000 in commissions and $100,000 net income after taxes into their pocket, which is really exciting. So once we know what we have in the economic model, and we know what the goals are, and specifically once we know how many houses we need to sell, then we're going to jump over to the lead generation model. And the lead generation model tells us that if we have 24 sales, we need to determine where our business is going to come from, where those 24 closings are going to come from. So you can see in my example, I've listed that 75% is going to come from my METs or my database. Think of METs. Gary describes METs as the people in your database, the core people that you're working with. Hopefully you have a 36 touch campaign that you're working on, or a client care program with that group of people. But in this example, I'm going to get 75% of my business from my database. And the system automatically tells me I'm going to get 25% from haven't met or people that I don't know. So 75% from people I know and 25% from people I don't know. That works out to 18 closings from my database and 6 closings from outside of my database. Now, in the MREA book, Gary talks about you should be able to get 2 pieces of business for every 12 people in your database. So 1 referral and 1 piece of business, a resale, a repeat customer. So basically 2 sales out of every 12. I've taken that and divided by 2, and it's really a 6-to-1 ratio. So 2 divided by 12 is 6. So for every 6 people in your database, you should be able to make 1 sale. Now that is after you've done that 36 touch campaign, that client care campaign. When you've done it religiously for about 3 years, I've seen people who do a really good job of that get down to 6-to-1. But maybe you want to start with a little higher number. I recommend, if it's your first year doing a client care program and you're really diligent about making those 36 touches, and we're going to talk more about that in a minute, I think you can get about a 10-to-1 return, which means you can get 1 piece of business for every 10 people that are in your database. So you can see the spreadsheet is determined. If that's true, I need 180 people in my MET database, 180 people that I'm connected to, in order to make those 18 sales. Now, Gary tells us that in the MRA book, it's somewhere between 50-to-1 or 100-to-1 people that you have to talk to in order to get business from people that you don't know. For today's example, I'm going to use a 100-to-1 ratio. And basically, in order to make these 6 sales, I need to talk to 600 people that I don't know. So 600 people that I don't know, if I run my system correctly, and we're going to talk more about that in just a minute, but if I run what Gary calls an 18 to cement, if I run a plan, we used to call it a 12 direct. If I run a plan and a system for people that I don't know to convert them, I should be able to make 6 sales out of talking to 600 people. So down below, let's look at the contacts that we're going to need, because these are going to funnel into our plan in just a moment. So you can enter in how many people are in your database. Maybe you have 0 people in your database right now, or maybe you have 100, and the system will tell you how many you need to add to your database, and then you can decide how quickly you're going to do it. I recommend adding the people in the first 12 weeks of the year. Get your database to the number of people that you need in order to hit your goal. Also, you'll see that the system has automatically determined one of the things that you need to do is your MET database. Part of that 36 touch campaign needs to be that you're talking to people 4 times a year. You need to be having a conversation with them 4 times a year where you're asking them for business. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a minute. So the system is determined I'm going to make 720 contacts a year to my database, 60 a month or 15 a week. I need to talk to 600 people that I don't know. Maybe I'm going to do that through internet leads, sign or ad calls, open houses, door knocking. Maybe I'm going to do that through farming, social farming, community events. I'm going to go and talk to people about real estate. Maybe I'm going to do that with seminars. I'm going to put on seminars, and I'm going to invite people in to learn how to buy their first home or buy investment property. But I'm going to have 600 conversations with people that I don't know. So that's 50 a month or 12 a week. So you can see we've broken it down to 27 contacts a week is what I'm going to need to make. And I need to add about 7 people to my database in that first 12 weeks of the year in order to hit my goal. So quick review. Back to the economic model. I just need 1 new client appointment a week in order to hit my goal. And in order to get that 1 new client appointment a week, I need to make 27 contacts. Those are my 2 key indicators, my lead measures that are going to lead me towards hitting my goal. I need to make 27 contacts a week and hit one new client appointment a week. Now comes the fun part. Now we've got our economic model. We're going to talk more about the budget model tomorrow. We've got our lead generation model. Now let's talk about my favorite thing and what we're really here for today. So the key to hitting your goal, the key to giving yourself a 300% chance of hitting your goal is what we call a 1-3-5 or a GPS. GPS stands for goal, priority, and strategy. Goal, priority, and strategy. And the way this works is you're going to identify what is your one goal for the year. What's the one thing that we're going to concentrate on? And you'll remember, clear back from my big why tab, the one thing I need to hit for this year is I need to hit my time blocking, and I need a time block for my family and time block for travel. But I also need to hit my goal of 24 sales, 24 closings, and $100,000 in net income after taxes. So that's my one of the 1-3-5. So when you see me call the GPS a 1-3-5, that's the one, my one thing. Then for priorities, I'm going to have 3 priorities that are going to be the 3 plans that I'm going to use in order to hit my one goal. So you can see in my example, I've listed database, social media, and farming as the 3 things I'm going to use in my example, the 3 priorities or plans in order to hit my goal. Now, the 5 of a GPS is strategies, 5 strategies. For each priority, I'm going to have 5 strategies. Or for each plan, think of it, for each plan, I'm going to have 5 strategies to hit that plan, to make that plan a reality. Now, here is the absolute key, and I want everyone to write this down. This is really important. The key to making sure that you hit your goal, the key to having a 300% chance of hitting your goal is this. In Gary's GPS, in the 1-3-5, each of the priorities needs to hit the goal all by itself. So in other words, using my example, I'm going to create 5 strategies of my priority, of my database plan, so that I hit the goal just by doing my database. And so those 5 strategies need to cause me to use my database to make 24 sales and net $100,000. The 5 strategies for my social media priority need to hit the goal of 24 closings and $100,000 in net income through social media. Then my farming goal, the 5 strategies need to hit the same goal, need to create 24 closings and $100,000 in net income through farming, through social farming or physical farming of a neighborhood. They need to hit that goal. So the reason that you're going to have a 300% chance of hitting your goal is each of those priorities is going to hit the goal. We're going to plan for each of those priorities to hit the goal on their own by themselves. In other words, think of it this way. We'll do the math to make it a little simpler. I'm going to be able to do 24 closings from my database. I'm going to create a plan to do 24 closings from social media, and I'm going to do a plan to hit 24 closings from farming. So really, I'm setting up a plan that's going to potentially create 72 closings. Now think about it for just a second. The goal is 24, right? But if I create strategies that will hit 72 goals, I'm basically creating a 300% chance that I'm going to hit my 24 closings, my 24 closing goal. And the exciting thing about a GPS and a 1-3-5, you guys, is you can use this for anything, by the way. I could be creating a goal for how much time I want to spend with my family, or I could be creating a goal for the traveling that I want to do for the year. And then I could create 3 priorities that are going to help me hit that goal with my family or hit that goal with travel, and then 5 strategies for each goal. And that would give me a 300% chance of hitting my goal, my family goal, or my travel goal, or my money goal. Whatever goal you want to use, you can use the GPS for lots of different things. We're just using it today to talk about how to hit that economic model goal of 24 closings and $100,000 in net income. Now, here are some of the priorities that I want to share with you that I see agents use, and we're going to go through and kind of talk about them real briefly. So I'm going to go down to my screen here, and I'm going to go over to plan ideas. So plan or priority ideas. I see agents use circle prospecting. So they are prospecting around the listings that they take. I see agents use open houses, door knocking. We talked about social media. I've got an agent in my office who specifically uses Instagram, and she sold 31 houses last year off of just using Instagram. I've seen Facebook advertising. As a matter of fact, through our Command platform, we have a great Facebook advertising model that you can go and system that you can go in and use. Some people use Zillow or Real Geeks, Bold Leads, Boomtown. They're using some kind of online internet database. I've seen people use FSBOs and expires, for sale by owners, or expired listings, cold calls, or agent referrals. Those all could be plans or priorities that you could use in your 135. Okay, now let's get into the weeds here just a little bit. So in that 135, I want to talk to you about how to set this up to give yourself that 300% chance of hitting your goal. So if database, think about this as I'm going to even make a note in here and say, we talked about in our lead generation model, this is the MET database. So if I'm going to get 24 closings from my MET database, remember I told you in the lead generation model, it's probably going to take me 10 people to make one sale or have one piece of repeat business. So I need 10 people for every one sale. So if I'm going to hit 24 closings, if I'm going to have 24 closings just from my database, then I'm actually going to need 240 people in my database in order to make that happen. So strategy number one is I'm going to have 240 people in my database, and I'm going to get a 10-to-1 return. I'm going to get one referral or one client from my database out of every 10 people that's going to turn into a closing. So strategy number one is 240 committed people. Strategy number two is I need an incredible 36 touch campaign. I need, and in the MRA book, in the red book, it used to be called a 33 touch campaign, and Gary's upped it a little bit recently. So I need to touch my database 36 times a year. I recommend that needs to include 4 phone calls or 4 personal interactions with your database. Now, here's something important about those 4 phone calls. When I make those 4 phone calls, or I'm having 4 lunches or coffees or drinks or one-on-one meetings with one of my people in my database, I need to ask them for referrals. But here's how we're going to ask. We're going to ask in a specific way. You're going to give them a specific example of what it is that you want help with. We're not going to call them and say, hey, Joe, it's David Konerman over at Keller Williams. Who do you know that needs to buy or sell that I can help? We're not going to, hey, I need your referrals. We're not going to ask that way. We're going to ask in a specific way that's going to cause the reticular activator in their brain that when they think or hear of real estate, they're going to think of you. Here's an example. When I called my database last week, I had a client that happened to want to live in my neighborhood that I was working with, a buyer, and their names were Mary and Joe. And so when I called my database, I called and I said, hey, Fred, it's David over at Keller Williams Realty. Hey, listen, I have a problem that probably only you can help me with. Do you have just a minute for a business conversation? Great. Thank you so much. Listen, I am working with this client, Mary and Joe. They are the nicest young couple, and it just so happens they want to live in your neighborhood. As a matter of fact, I was driving by your home the other day and showing them properties, and we could not find anything for them to buy. We actually made 2 offers and lost out because inventory is so low. Joe, let me ask you this. Fred, who do you know that wants to buy, that wants to sell their home in our neighborhood? Who do you know that wants to sell a home in our neighborhood that I could sell to Mary and Joe? Do you know of anybody that's thinking about moving? And of course, Fred said, no, I can't think of anybody right now. And I said, Fred, I totally get that. But here's the deal. just because you and I have had this conversation, you're probably going to think of someone over the next 2 to 4 weeks. And when you do, will you do me a favor? Will you just shoot me a text message or send me an email with their contact information? So what I've done is I've planted in Fred's brain, Mary and Joe want to buy a house in his neighborhood. And now, as he's having conversations with people and real estate comes up, the reticular activator in his brain will cause him to remember to shoot me a message about, oh yeah, David talked to me about Mary and Joe that need to buy a house. So you need to make sure those 4 conversations when you're talking to your database as part of your 36 Touch campaign, make sure they're about something specific. Make sure they're about a particular house that you want to sell. Make sure the conversations are about a first-time home buyer seminar that you're putting on that you want people to attend. If you're looking for referrals, give people a specific situation. And what you'll find is they will refer you all kinds of different situations, even though you gave them one specific one. But the fact that you gave them something specific goes in the back of their brain and it sits there. Just like if you have ever bought a red car and now you see red cars on the street all over the place, whereas you didn't ever really notice them before. A couple of years ago, I used my profit share money and I bought a Tesla. And I hardly ever saw Teslas. Now I see Teslas everywhere that I go in Kansas City. I see them all over the place because I bought one. Well, that's the reticular activator in my brain at work. Okay, back to our strategy. Strategy 2. So 36 Touch campaign. We're going to make 4 phone calls. We're going to ask for referrals through a specific situation to our database. We're going to have 2 client events a year. We're going to do 4 pop buys a year. Pop buys are where we're going and we're delivering gifts to our database with catchy phrases that they're going to remember us by. I recently delivered highlighters, you know, the yellow highlighters, like you're highlighting a book, highlighters in a little bag. I hung them on the doors of all my clients. And there was a little note inside that said, you're the highlight to my business. Would love your referrals in 2021. So 4 pop buys that you're going to do. 12 e-newsletters. We do a really good e-newsletter in our office that we send out to our database, and it gives them information on real estate and what's going on in Kansas City, as well as great apps that we've seen for iPhone or Android that they may want to use that are related to real estate. I also do 12 emails or Facebook comments where I'm specifically emailing them, maybe a situation, maybe like I was showing houses in their neighborhood and can't find one. And do they know anybody that might be wanting to sell, might be wanting to move? Or maybe the emails about a new listing that I've got in the neighborhood. And do they know of anybody, would they like to pick their new neighbor? And do they know of anybody that might want to buy in that area? And then I've also got birthday cards and anniversary cards as part of my 36 Touch campaign. So we've got those 4 phone calls we're going to make with a specific ask is strategy 3. The 2 client events is strategy 4. In that strategy, we're going to ask them specifically when we call to invite them to the client event, we're going to say, hey, Fred, we're having a client event. We're doing a photography event. I want to invite you and your family. But what I really want to know, Fred, is who do you know that I should know that we should invite to the client event? Because I'm building my database, right? And so one of the strategies, I'm going to build my database by asking them not only to come to my client events, but I'm going to ask them, who do they know that I should know that we can have come to those client events? So that's one of the strategies. And then that 5th strategy is my birthday campaign. There's a great, there are several actually really good campaigns, smart plans inside of Command that are birthday campaigns that you can use. So I'm going to give them a gift. I'm going to shoot them a text. I'm going to shoot them an email. I'm going to make a Facebook post. I'm going to do several things that are going to help them remember me on their birthday. I'm going to make their birthday special so that I stand out over everyone else. So that's my database strategy. Just that strategy alone is going to cause me to get 24 sales and $100,000 in income, right? Then in my social media priority, or plan, I'm going to create 5 strategies there as well that are going to cause me to hit those 24 sales. So maybe I'm going to post on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to use paid advertisements. I'm going to use Facebook and Instagram to engage with my friends. I'm going to engage in their posts and build a better relationship with them. I'm going to use Facebook groups. I'm going to join groups on Facebook that are things that I'm interested in my area, again, to build connectivity with people that I don't know. I'm going to put every lead into command into my follow-up system and follow up on them dramatically. Those 5 strategies are going to cause me to make 24 sales from social media. And then with farming, I'm going to door knock, hold neighborhood events. I'm going to join 2 groups, the church and Chamber of Commerce, to get to know other people in that area. I'm going to have real estate related events that I'm going to put on, maybe first-time home buyer seminars, or investment seminars, or right sizing seminars. I'm going to get all of my social groups into command and get them into drip campaigns, into smart plans, so that I can follow up on them. When you put together this 135, this GPS, you will give yourself a 300% chance of hitting your goal. It's the single most important document that every agent puts together with their business plan. The agents that take their time to go through and put together a 135, put together a GPS, will hit their goal. I guarantee it. The last part is of today's, I'm going to just hit real quickly on the 411. Once you've gotten that 135 together, you're going to take it and you're going to put it into a 411 that your team leader or productivity coach is going to hold you accountable to. So you've got all of those items, all of my strategies from my 135 are in my 411. They're in my annual goals. I know what I'm going to work on each month. And then the 4 is each week. So 411, 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year goals. And I'm going to end up with a 1-page business plan that I'm going to work on a daily basis, that it's going to give me that 300% chance of hitting my goals, because I'm going to transfer all of my 135 over onto the 411. Now, before I finish up, I've got about 4 minutes left. I want to make sure if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. And I'm going to encourage everyone as well. Please join me again tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We're gonna do a deep dive into the economic model and the lead generation model. And in both of those models, I'm going to show you how to refine them to make sure that we're really attacking where you want to go on your goals. We're also going to talk more about the 411 so that you've got that 1-page business plan that you'll carry with you. I literally print out my 411 once I've got it completed, because it contains everything from my 135, from my GPS. It contains everything from my GPS, all goes into my 411. And I literally I print it and laminate it and carry it around with me. And that's what I work on every single week. So you can see down here in the bottom, I know how many contacts I need to make from my database and from my haven't mets. And I'm literally recording those on a weekly basis. Like, did I make my 15 contacts? Did I hit my 12 contacts from people that I don't know, 15 contacts to my database? Did I set my 1 appointment? Did I take my listing that I need to take? And then I've also planned, what are the things that I need to do of my 15 strategies from my GPS? What are the things I need to work on each week? And I've broken it down, even though I've given you this big goal where we're going to sell 24 houses and do $6 million in production and net $100,000 in income and get 1 year closer to my 5-year goals. I've broken it down into, look at these simple tasks that I have to do for the week. Week 1 is simply to clean up my database and write my e-newsletter. Week 2 is just to clean the rest of my my database in command, proof my newsletter, research my family time, and make sure I've got that in my time blocking calendar. Research vacations and know what I'm going to do for travel this year. And you can see I've broken it out into, even though this again is a big goal, I broke it down into 6 or 7 things I'm going to do each week that I'm going to concentrate on. We're breaking it down into small chunks that make it easier in order to hit your goal. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm going to do a quick review for you. Here's what we've covered today in our last minute. We talked about our big why. Why is it that we're in real estate? What is important to us that we want to accomplish in our business over the next 5 years? we've taken one thing out of that big why, the one most important thing that we want to work on for next year, and we're creating an economic model around the job and money piece of that big why. And we know how much money we need to make. We know how many closings we need, and we know how many appointments we're going to need to have. We went through in the lead generation model and we decided where our business was going to come from. It's going to come from 75% from our database and 25% from people that we don't know. Then we created a GPS, a 300% chance of hitting our goal, because we have 3 priorities with 5 strategies each. And those 3 priorities are going to hit the goal all on their own. And then we took it over and we put it into a 411 so that we've got one page that we can look at and we know what we need to do every week in order to hit our goal. All right, you guys, I hope to see you all tomorrow at 4 o'clock sharp. Please join me for the rest of our presentation, and I will see you all then. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat and I'll stay around for a few minutes and would love to answer them. Also, please connect with me on my profile and feel free to ask me any questions. I am great with email. I know we're in different time zones. It's now 8:45 in the morning here in Kansas City. I know it's 4:45 in the afternoon there for you. So email is a great communication form. Send me an email or contact me through the platform. I would love to answer your questions and help you to hit your goals in 2021. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.